Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Nelson. I have the incredible privilege and honor of having been sworn in just recently by the Vice President to be the next head of NASA. The President had just an incredible kind of confidence in me.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And apparently my old friends in the Senate seem to convey that confidence again in that they passed me unanimously in my confirmation. And it is such a privilege for me to be a part of this agency because this is a can-do agency and NASA is a family. I've been privileged to be a part of that on the outside for a number of years. The 30 years that I served first in the House and then in the Senate in the positions of being the chairman of the Space Subcommittee and then again in the Senate likewise and as the ranking member of the full committee. So it's returning home for me. In a way, it's more of a return home. We've stayed in touch with our crew that flew on the 24th flight of the Space Shuttle, led by Hoot Gibson, the best of the best, piloted by Charlie Bolden, who went on to command several missions. And then, of course, I had the opportunity years later to return that favor by insisting to President Obama and Vice President Biden that they nominate Charlie as the administrator, and of course he served there for 8 years. NASA has unlimited possibilities as we venture out to explore the cosmos. Not only are we going back to the moon and then on to Mars, but look at the scientific achievement that we're going to do, and along the line inspire a whole new generation of students in science and technology and engineering and mathematics. The first A in NASA is aeronautics. Look at what we've already done and the excitement of the new kinds of development of aircraft to make them more efficient, less polluting, and get us there faster. And of course, you can't talk about NASA without talking about its workforce. And that's why NASA is such a great place to work. And people are there because they consider NASA a family. I want to point out in the swearing in that I had there not only my family, my wife Grace and our son Bill Jr. and our daughter Nan Ellen, but I purposely had there also Charlie Bolden and Jim Bridenstine as the two previous administrators, because what we wanted to convey was the continuity of administrations in NASA and also the bipartisanship. And NASA is a bipartisan agency. As a matter of fact, it's really more nonpartisan. And that's the way it should be operated. And that's the way that I certainly intend to try to offer some leadership in a bipartisan way. And then I want to say the other person that I had there was Pam Melroy, Air Force Colonel, retired, test pilot, an astronaut commander, 3 missions. She then, after the astronaut office, went to the FAA and then to DARPA. And Pam and I are going to operate as a team, and she is going to be a fantastic leader for this agency. So I want to thank you for this opportunity to serve in public service again. It's been, up to this point, 44 years of public service for me, 42 of which was in elected public office. Thank you for this great opportunity. And thank you for what you do every day. You make this not only the agency that can do, but does. And that's why, of all the federal departments and agencies of government, that's why NASA is the most popular among the American people. And that's because of you. So thank you so very much for this new opportunity of service that you and the President and the Senate have given me. And God bless you.
Hello, and welcome aboard the International Space Station. I'm NASA astronaut Megan MacArthur, along with my Expedition 65 crewmates.
We're excited to kick off this year's State of NASA from 250 miles above the Earth, conducting world-class research for the Earth.
As astronauts, we have the best jobs in the galaxy, but the work we do on station wouldn't be possible without your support. We're on a path to land the first woman and the first person of color on the moon as part of the Artemis program.
It is our honor to introduce someone who knows exactly what it's like to live and work up here in orbit. Our new administrator, the Honorable Senator Bill Nelson.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much. And thank you, Megan, Shane, and Mark, for the introduction. It's well known that NASA is the most popular agency or department of the federal government, and that's because of you, the NASA family. And it's such an honor to serve in a leadership position in this extraordinary group of folks. I'm so proud today to be joined by my wife, Grace, and be joined virtually by our children, Bill Jr. and Nan Ellen. And I'm so grateful for all of their support, which has been over a lifetime of public service. I got a call from the president-elect right after the first of the year, and he wanted me to serve here. And it was a surprise because I had not sought this position. But when the president calls you, you know what you do. You click your heels and you salute and you say, "Yes, sir." And I am very glad that he gave me this opportunity. And it's been an incredible month getting up to speed about the agency's goals and missions. And I want you to know, the truth be known, I'm like a kid in a candy shop. Space has always been a passion for me. I grew up in the shadow of the Cape. The names of the original 7 were all known by our schoolmates. And it's been a passion that has been fueled by my family history. As a matter of fact, on what was scrub land of rattlesnakes and mosquitoes and alligators, in 1913, my grandparents homesteaded under the Homestead Act. That 160 acres of land was deeded to my grandmother in 1917. That 160 acres today is at the north end of the Space Shuttle runway. When I went to the launch pad for the first time, I was the 7th to crawl in and strap in, and I wandered off on that launch tower by myself, looking to the northwest in the direction of the old homestead. And it was just hard for me to comprehend that 3/4 of a century earlier, my grandparents had homesteaded there, and they could have never believed that a grandson was literally going to leave the face of the earth. And so, on the space shuttle, in between conducting 12 medical experiments, enjoying the best crew ever, whenever you would get a free moment, and that was rare, so often I had to cheat on my sleep. And I'd float up to the flight deck, and I'd just float there in front of the window, looking back at Earth. It really has an impression on you. And there's actually a term for it among space flyers. It's called the overview effect. Because in the window of your spacecraft, you see our home, the planet. And it looks so beautiful, such a creation in the middle of nothing. And yet, it also looks fragile. As a politician, I was struck by the fact that as we orbited the Earth every 90 minutes, I did not see political divisions. I did not see racial divisions. I did not see religious divisions. I saw that we were all in this together. And this is the unique mission of NASA, because we all come together as we push the frontier, as we push out into the unknown, and we see our planet, our home, and we have a central mission to protect our planet. As a result of that experience, I became more of an environmentalist because I could see our ecosystem. Bob Cabana is here. Anyone who has flown, or you see these dramatic photos and videos, and you look at the rim of the Earth, and you can actually see the thin film of the atmosphere, and you realize that that is what sustains all of life. With the naked eye, you could see from that altitude how we're messing it up. You could see the color contrast coming across Brazil in the upper Amazon region. You could look to the east, there's the mouth of the Amazon. You could see the silt for hundreds of miles out into the Atlantic. Coming across Madagascar back then, 36 years ago, they had cut down all the trees. And so when the rains came, there wasn't a topsoil. And all of that topsoil washed down the rivers. And you could clearly see that from space in the mouths of all the rivers, that silt flowing into the bright blue waters of the Indian Ocean. Because of that environmental effect, I was really excited last week to join the president in announcing a new development of a next generation of climate data systems at NASA. It's the Earth System Observatory to help us understand and track how climate change is impacting communities across the country and around the world. That meeting, held at FEMA headquarters in preparation for hurricane season, I underscored to the president how this Earth System Observatory will better help America and the world with better data to track natural hazards, including hurricanes, and be better prepared and to support our communities, families, and businesses before a disaster, not just after. The Earth System Observatory will consist of 5 integrated satellites, the first of which is scheduled to be launched in January of 23. We need these investments because storms are getting stronger and more destructive. And if we want to mitigate climate change, we've got to measure it, and that's what NASA does. NASA designs, builds, launches all of those instruments in space to give us an unprecedented understanding of the Earth. It's a 3D holistic view from the bedrock to the atmosphere. So let's learn more about this new video.
As NASA prepares to send humans to the Moon and Mars, and peer even deeper into the universe, we turn with a renewed focus to our home planet of Earth. The next generation of Earth science begins with the new Earth System Observatory. The core of the observatory is an array of 5 new satellite missions that will study the atmosphere, the ground, and even what's happening underneath the surface.
These spacecraft will look at the Earth, each one of them their own way, and will integrate all the data in a common approach.
Taken together as a single observatory, we will have a complete 3-dimensional understanding of our Earth systems, how they work together, how one change can influence another. It will watch our planet change, driving solutions for better living, managing water and food resources, predicting natural hazards, coping with sea level rise in coastal communities, and heat islands in our cities.
Every 10 years, the best scientists in the United States and worldwide come together and create a strategy, the decadal strategy, and it recommended that we build missions that together form an Earth System Observatory.
We're going to be looking at processes at the microphysical scale, at the large kind of convective scale, at the smaller scale in the oceans, and we're going to be investigating those, pulling that out, encapsulating that, putting that into weather models and climate models, and those are going to allow us to predict and project the future with far more confidence.
We can, from space, help farmers. We can help others that grow food around the Earth.
If there is an earthquake, we can get our models better, and from there we can predict better also in the future.
We can monitor fresh water both on the surface and underground to help water managers, both for communities as well as agriculture.
To build the observatory, we will expand our partnerships with commercial companies and international space agencies to take advantage of innovation and new technology.
We recognize, because of the global nature of the issues at hand, we want international partners to be part of that also. We're working together, and the science that we're doing has to serve all of us.
NICEAR is our first major partnership with the Indian Space Agency in Earth science. It brings together 2 different kinds of radar systems that together will see changes in our Earth's surface that will help us predict natural hazards in the future.
The NICEAR mission will measure changes in Earth's surface less than a centimeter across. It will measure the movement of glaciers and ice sheets, the dynamics of earthquakes and volcanoes, and changes in farmland.
We will observe the Earth every 12 days exactly at the right repeat pass orbit. We can study small changes in the Earth system sciences.
The Earth's climate is changing. We have documented the changes that we're seeing over the last few decades. We know that it's being driven by human activities, and it's absolutely essential that we continue to understand what's happening, what's changing, in order to better predict what's going to happen and perhaps help people make better choices.
Understanding how our planet and its climate are changing is the foundation for a more resilient and sustainable future. NASA's Earth System Observatory is the next step in this ongoing mission. a mission to the only planet we can call home.
And you've just seen some of these great scientists. And I believe Dr. Z is almost as excited as I am. And that's what he's leading, and it's incredible. And what you just saw is just the tip of the iceberg. The Earth System Observatory is just one of the many missions that we have on the horizon. And I'm excited to share more about the exciting future we have in store here at NASA. But first, I want to thank you for all the work you've done over the past year. Back in March 2020, many of you packed up your computers, you went home to work from your kitchen table, your living rooms, your basements, while some of you were mission critical and you had to continue working on site under strict guidelines to keep you healthy and to keep your colleagues and your families healthy too. You did that, and I thank you for that. And despite all these hardships, it's been an amazing year for NASA. The agency has launched 10 astronauts from American rockets on American soil. We've had all of America on the edge of their seats as Perseverance came through those 7 minutes of terror, made a successful landing on Mars. And since then, we've created oxygen on Mars, and we've seen Ingenuity, that little helicopter, defeat the odds, outliving its planned lifespan, and it transitioned from a tech demo to a scout. It's the first flight on another planet. And here's Jennifer Trosper out at JPL to give us a live update on Perseverance and Ingenuity.
Thank you. Well, it's a privilege to be here to talk about the Perseverance rover mission. Today is the 101st sol on Mars for the Perseverance rover. 101 Martian days ago, Percy successfully landed on the red planet at Jezero Crater. Jezero Crater is an ancient lake bed on Mars and a great place for Perseverance to search for ancient microbial life. Now, shortly after landing, we started sending down images for the first time of the landing and from the rover's perspective. And then shortly after that, Perseverance quickly got to work on her commissioning activities. Commissioning is when we check out all the functions of the rover to make sure that during their flight to Mars and their rather dramatic landing on Mars, the functions all still work. Just 2 days ago, Perseverance finished all of her commissioning activities. During this time, she sent down over 75,000 images of our landing site. And some of those images were what I call the vacation photos of Percy and Ingenuity sitting there together on the surface of Mars, learning new things. She also deployed Ingenuity, photographed the flights, and relayed the data back to Earth. And now we are continuing with an operational demo where Ingenuity is helping Perseverance learn new things and figure out which directions to go for her science campaigns. We've recorded the sounds on Mars for the first time of the wheels interacting with the rocks, of the winds, of the helicopter flying. We've also checked out every instrument and the robotic arm and the sampling system, and the vehicle is working phenomenally well. And now, since the end of commissioning has happened, we are starting to drive south to a region called Seta. Seta is an area where we will look around and find a location that is the best place for our first sample. So it's been a very exciting 100 days, but we're looking forward to the beginning of this new science campaign. Back to you.
Well, thank you so much, and I really believe that no other organization in the world can do what this amazing team has done, and certainly not under such difficult circumstances. In the nearly 15 months since the beginning of the pandemic, you all have not only landed a rover on Mars, but also supported advancements getting us closer to launching the first crewed Artemis mission. And in just a few months, the launch of the James Webb Space Telescope, which will see the light from the first galaxies that formed in the early universe after the Big Bang. Think about that. The universe almost 13.5 billion years ago. James Webb will capture the light from about 150 million years after the Big Bang. So James Webb will be looking back 13,350,000,000 years to capture the light. And so this is just a few of the things that you all have been working on. And I'm thrilled now to have a special treat for you, because it's a special guest, Captain Kirk himself, to inspire you all to boldly go into the future.
I want to congratulate Bill Nelson as NASA's new administrator. We're all delighted that he's here. Why does NASA exist? Why do we exist? Why does life exist upon this strange and lonely planet? How did we arrive, and for what reason? An age-old question, one that each of us at one time or another has asked. Each time, the universe responds with silence. NASA stands before that silence and probes that mystery. We stand with NASA in response to the incredible miracle of impossible life on an insensate world. We move back to a moon that we wish we had never deserted. We move onward to Mars to establish a base, and then a community, and finally a miniature civilization on its enigmatic soil. We do it because NASA has realized that the universe, which extends for billions of light years in all directions, is meaningless unless what? Unless there are observers and caretakers of that stunning interstellar display. The universe demands to be noticed, to be seen, and dutifully noted. The purpose of life on Earth is to see, to know, and to tell what the cosmos has to offer. Without us, human beings, without NASA, the universe would be unseen, unknown, untouched. So NASA, in the coming years, will be chief witness, and we, as fellow observers, celebrants to the cause. Can NASA do this? Can we run tandem with NASA and live forever, or 1,000,000 years, whichever comes first? We can. We will. We must.
After a speech like that, I'm ready to go. What a wonderful tribute to all that NASA means to the world. And we do have an exciting future ahead. And as you can see on the screen behind me, we're assembling the rocket at this very minute down at the Kennedy Space Center. It'll pave the way to return American astronauts to the surface of the moon. That rocket is the Space Launch System. It will launch our Orion spacecraft and cargo on missions to lunar orbit and beyond. And soon, I mean like days, we're starting to stack that massive core stage between its two boosters in the vehicle assembly building at KSC. The SLS will be the most powerful rocket in the world. 8.8 million pounds of thrust at launch. All this means we're on our way to land the next Americans on the moon, and this time we're going to learn how to live and work on another world. America's long-term presence at the moon, both robotic and human, will help develop the experience and capabilities we need to eventually send the first astronauts to Mars. Artemis 1, the first uncrewed mission, will launch from Kennedy later this year. It will spend 26 days in retrograde lunar orbit, traveling to distances that no human-rated spacecraft has ever been. And America will also see our first robotic lander on the moon since 1968, ushering in a new era of a global science and exploration presence as more commercial moon deliveries will follow. And landing the first woman and the first person of color on the lunar surface as a part of Artemis is not a statement. It is an action. The United States must and will continue to lead the way globally, not just in exploration, but also in equity. We can be proud that all this work is good for science and humanity, and it also supports and creates good-paying American jobs. We're on track to do so many more amazing things for the country and the world, because that's what NASA does. It's just a little agency, but its value is immense. That total value is hard to quantify. You can look at all the ways it helps. STEM education, billions of dollars in partnerships with small businesses, economic impact in all 50 states, hundreds of thousands of good, high-paying jobs, incredible technology spin-offs, like in your pocket right now, the camera in your cell phone, and inspiration and investment in the workforce of the future as we educate our workforce for all these amazing things. Think of what Apollo did for a generation of scientists and engineers and mathematicians. We're going now to inspire a whole new generation of students, the Artemis generation. And that's not all. We will continue to be a catalyst for the growth of a healthy and vibrant commercial space industry, expanding opportunities in low Earth orbit and pushing further to the moon and beyond. And we will continue to develop the cutting-edge space technologies and transformative capabilities. We continue to advance aviation technologies to make our skies safer, our aircraft more sustainable, and to get you to your destination faster and safer than ever before. And we will continue to inspire and arm our workforce of the future through our STEM engagement programs. We will continue to push the boundaries of space exploration through science missions with spacecraft, telescopes, rovers, and more. And we will do all of this and more because that's what NASA does. And no one does it better.
Hi, I'm Lily, and I'm from the Exploration Ground Systems program. I'm the EGS Flow Manager, and I'm here in the VAB at Kennedy Space Center, 16 floors up. So we're currently assembling all the flight components for the Artemis 1 vehicle. Behind me, you'll see the 2 boosters that are already fully stacked, and the core stage is currently in the transfer aisle, getting ready to be lifted and mated. After that, we'll install the rest of the Flight Harbor components, and on top of that, we'll put the Orion vehicle, and then we'll be ready for launch. This is definitely an exciting time here at Kennedy Space Center.
This is the X-57 Maxwell. It's NASA's first all-electric piloted aircraft, and it'll pave the way for the future of electric aircraft and create certifications. NASA Armstrong's also working on remote piloted and autonomous aircraft that will help set standards for air taxi, package delivery, and our work in the national airspace.
We're sending the world's premier space science observatory, the Webb Telescope, 1 million miles from Earth to explore every phase of cosmic history. It'll study everything from the most distant observable galaxies in the early universe to planets in the habitable zones of nearby stars.
I'm standing in the Astrobiology Analytical Laboratory where samples from the OSIRIS-REx mission will be coming in 2023. This is going to be an incredible year for asteroid science. When we launch the DART mission, it will help us understand how to potentially deflect an asteroid from Earth. Our Lucy mission will study the mysterious Trojan asteroids, and the Psyche mission will head to an asteroid that might harbor the metallic core of a planetoid. We also have exciting new space communications missions and a robotic servicing mission that will refuel and relocate another satellite to extend its life, assemble an antenna, and manufacture a beam.
At GIST, we do a lot of the number crunching that NASA needs in order to develop its world-class climate modeling and projections. We've got more than 20 satellites already up in orbit, and in this decade alone, we're adding another half a dozen. Here at Goddard and across NASA, you can bet that we're not going to stop innovating. We're trying to learn everything we can about this beautiful place we call home.
America has always had a frontier. At the beginning of our country, that frontier was westward. Now that frontier is upward, and it's out into the cosmos. It is a part of our DNA to be explorers, adventurers. That's in our DNA as Americans. And we will continue to push the boundaries of space exploration. In 1992, NASA established a new program within its Science Mission Directorate, the Discovery Program. This program invites scientists and engineers to propose smaller, focused, planetary science missions that have the potential to achieve great things at lower cost than larger agency flagship missions. To date, NASA has launched 13 Discovery missions, like the InSight Mars lander, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, our Lucy asteroid mission, and that's scheduled for launch this fall. Lucy is just one of 3 Discovery missions NASA is planning to launch in the next 3 years. And I'm excited to break some big news today. We have 2 new Discovery missions to announce. the truce of this clouded planet. Congratulations to the teams behind NASA's 2 planetary science missions, Veritas, Truth, and Da Vinci Plus. These 2 sister missions both aim to understand how Venus became an inferno-like world capable of melting lead at the surface. They will offer the entire science community the chance to investigate a planet we haven't been to in more than 30 years. In our solar system, of the rocky planets, there's Mercury, closest to the sun. It has no atmosphere. Then there's Venus with an incredibly dense atmosphere. Then there's Earth with a habitable atmosphere. And then there's Mars with an atmosphere that is just 1% of Earth's. We hope these missions will further our understanding of how Earth evolved and why it's currently habitable when others in our solar system are not. Planetary science is critical in answering key questions that we have as humans, like, are we alone? What implications beyond our solar system could these 2 missions have? This is really exciting stuff, and it's an emerging area of research for NASA. And so before I leave you, I want to thank you. Now, there's no doubt that NASA is the premier space agency in the world, but NASA is only as good as its people. And we're lucky to have the best of the best. I'm committed to leading NASA as our team with our soon-to-be Senate-confirmed Deputy Administrator, Colonel Pam Melroy, and Chief Financial Officer Margaret Vo Schoss, and with Associate Administrator Bob Cabana. But it's crucial that this is not a top-down agency. It's an agency where our workforce, every single one of you, is critical to the success of our missions. And I know that, and I know it from personal experience because of participating in one of the space shuttle missions. It's you on the line that make this possible. And another way of expressing that appreciation is to tell you a story that I've always heard around Kennedy. Came out of the Apollo program. There was a NASA employee, as they were developing the Space Center, that was digging a ditch. And a reporter went over to him and asked him, "What are you doing?" And he responded, "I'm helping to land a man on the moon." So I hope to hear a lot of you all over NASA, and especially on the line. And when we're able to see each other again in person, I hope you'll stop, introduce yourself, and I want to thank you so much. Thank you for what you're doing for NASA, for our country, and God bless you.
What motivates me is going outside at night, looking up at the moon and thinking about how humans are going to be walking on the moon once again in the very near future.
It is a big idea, but that's what we do at NASA. I'm focused on taking those big ideas and making them into something that we can actually do and actually do on time.
We want to make sure we have really accurate measurements of Earth so that we can detect changes in climate over time. I'm thankful it's not just me working on this mission because I so value what other folks bring to the table.
By developing this aircraft, we're actually coming up with a lot of the standards that will be used to certify future electric aircraft.
So NASA is leading and partnering with industries across the nation and the world, employing thousands and tens of thousands of Americans across the nation. Teamwork is the biggest thing of what has to work to do such a challenging thing as living around the moon. And we're coming together to be able to really take human space exploration to the next step.
We're bringing this American ingenuity, the collective greatness of all of the diverse minds that are in the United States on these grand challenges that we face.
Every day I go to work and I know there is a big purpose. It is high stakes, high pressure, but to be honest, that's what we do. That's what we do best.
I was a summer intern back in 2007. The experience changed my life forever. The people there were so inclusive. And I want to be able to inspire the little kids out there to be like, if he was able to do this, then I can too.
I want the largest number of students to have access. We work with schools and with students so that they see that they don't have to figure this out alone. And it's always fascinating for me when a student literally has the proverbial light bulb go off that this is something they can do.
Orbital dynamics don't slow down during a pandemic. We had to come up with ways to keep going right from the get-go. Because of all the safeguards that NASA and our team put in place, we all felt very safe still being able to develop our flight hardware on center.
I have hope that the current vaccine rollout is going to help us as we continue to vaccinate our entire population. We can come back to work in a way where we can continue to do the job that we have, understanding now that the situation has changed.
I am inspired by my colleagues, by the team members, because of the diligence that people have had in continuing to make this mission move forward.
Just some of the most phenomenal people in the world. And the things that I get to work with are just on the cutting edge.
I will say the possibilities are endless. Working at NASA is something that not even on my wildest dream I thought I was going to end up doing. And now that I'm doing it, it is the right place and the right home for me.
NASA is changing the future of spaceflight with the Artemis program. Generations to come will look back at this moment in history, and I'm just so excited to get to be a part of it.